This year, the Finger Lakes chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society and the Skaneateles Foundation are hosting the first ever virtual boat show from July 20th through the 26th. You can follow along with all the fun of our virtual boat show on either the chapter's Facebook page or the chapter's website. Again, the dates are July 20th through the 26th. Welcome to this year's Skaneateles Antique and Classic Boat Show. This is our special 2020 virtual show from the Finger Lakes chapter of ACBS. Along with our co-organizer, the Skaneateles Chamber of Commerce Foundation, we miss seeing these beautiful boats with their varnished hulls and polished brass. We miss hearing the waves lapping at their sides, the throaty rumble of their engines on the lake. We miss the sounds of Soda Ash 6 and Diana Jacobs playing from the gazebo along with the annual awards banquet at the Sherwood Inn. Instead, because of this year's circumstances, we are sharing the stories of owners, members, and attendees. Some are told with the pride taken in sanding, varnishing, and polishing. We're sharing experiences of restoration, family, volunteering, and membership. We're showing the boats, the people, and the activities of a Skaneateles boat show. We're even adding in the music you hear through that Skaneateles weekend. You'll find an opportunity to vote the People's Choice and to talk about the best boat name. You can even order a kiddie's boat to paint, just as you can in the park every year. Don't forget to send us a picture. We invite you to join us at this year's special virtual show and follow along with these stories. We'd like to thank our official sponsor for over 25 years, M&T Bank, with offices throughout the Northeast and at 33 East Genesee Street in Skaneateles. This is the Skaneateles Antique and Classic Boat Show of 2020, and we're glad you're here.
In 1970, in the Lyman Boat Works in Sandusky, Ohio, the boat that would become Tradition 2 had her beginning. We acquired her in December of 1999, and we quickly learned that she had seen better days. But we knew that with some hard work and a lot of hours and some elbow grease, she could return to her former glory. With final touches on June 30th, and a relaunching on July 1st, 2000, return to her former glory she did. We all had our first boat show that summer in July of 2000, and through the years, she has aged, and so have we. Even the crew, it seems, over the years has aged, and through wonderful experiences and adventures, we've all kind of grown older together. Sometimes at boat shows it rains, and sometimes there's sun. But we all really know what we love best, and that is quite simply to hear these old boats run. That wonderful sound just before 3 as all of these old boats start their engines up once again. Now the fourth generation graces her decks and climbs her ladders. And each July, anxiously awaits to see new docks and a new boat show with joyful anticipation. Or perhaps it might be just to take a nap during the boat parade, or wait patiently for the judge. But wait, could he someday be a judge? We're not sure where we're going to go, but we know one thing. We're going to go with our dear friend, and it will be a wonderful ride. Help us wish Tradition 2 a happy 50th birthday.
Hello, I'm Rick Nelson, the president of the Finger Lakes chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society, and also Boat Show co-chair. I want to thank you for joining us for our first ever virtual online boat show occurring during the summer of 2020. I have several memories of past boat shows. The first one is in 1999 when Gene Porter, an exhibitor from New Hampshire, offered me my first ever ride in a classic wooden boat. Next is the little kids painting their little wooden boats in the park with whatever colors they choose. All the exhibitors that show up every year. We have 40 on land and 40 in the water. These beautiful boats, antique, classics, contemporaries, late contemporaries. Another memory is every Saturday night at the boat show we have a banquet and we hand out many awards to different exhibitors, and the pleased looks on their faces is priceless. Thank you for being a part of our show, and I hope to encourage you to join us. We have a great group of generous and friendly people who enjoy these classic and antique boats. It's a passion. I acquired it in 1999. Please consider joining the Finger Lakes chapter and the Antique and Classic Boat Society. And you do not have to own an antique and classic boat. I'm proof positive. I don't have one yet. Thank you.
Nancy Jean is a boat with a nice story. It's a home-built Glen L. ZZ Zip from a 1954 design. Owned by Evan and Mandy DeHate, the boat was named after Evan's mom. It was built from scratch using paper plans obtained from Glen L. A first-time boat builder, Evan started the project in 2015, and 2 years later, after 1,200 hours in construction, Nancy Jean was launched in 2017. The boat is made of okume plywood, African mahogany, and maple. The hull is wrapped in fiberglass cloth, and the whole boat is encapsulated with epoxy. The engine is a 1956 Mercury Mark 55E outboard, completely rebuilt by the builder's father, Dale. Producing about 40 horsepower, it pushes the boat about 30 miles an hour on smooth water. If the lake gets choppy, the owners say Nancy Jean rides quite dry, but it does pound a bit in the waves, so slower speeds are a good idea. Nancy Jean received an award at the 2018 Skaneateles show in the contemporary class, the first time the boat or the owners had entered any boat show. At the show, Mandy and Evans say they really enjoyed talking with showgoers and other boat owners, the boat parade, and they continue to say they were in awe of the beautiful boats of all shapes and all sizes, which make the Skaneateles Boat Show such a nice event.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 2020 Virtual Boat Show hosted by the Skaneateles Foundation and the Finger Lakes chapter of the Antique and Classic Boating Society. The music is provided by the Jazz Naturalists featuring Zane Carnes on bass, Miguel Gonzalez on piano, and Jack Souza on drums. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, Mark Cork here from Boat US magazine. Now today I'm going to walk you through the steps to tie a cleat hitch. It's one of the most useful methods for tying your boat to a dock. Which horn of the cleat you use depends on the pull on the line. Start off by wrapping it around the horn furthest away from the pull on the line, go round, over the top, begin the figure eight. After going around the cleat, I go round the horn a second time to complete the figure eight, and then I flip the line under itself and put it back over the horn. Tying by tugging on the working end, and note that the working end comes away from the cleat in the opposite direction from where it started. Finish off by coiling and laying the rope neatly alongside the cleat so it won't present a tripping hazard. So there you have it. Now I can be confident my boat isn't going to go anywhere and it will be safe until I come back next time. If you found this video useful, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to leave us a comment below so we know what you're thinking. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the water.
Schmidt with the Syracuse Model Boat Club, and we've been displaying at the Skaneateles Antique Boat Show for probably 15 years or longer. And every year we've brought more and more models and from different builders, and got to show the public kind of what our club is all about. We're a small club, probably 10 members or less, and we build all different types of model boats, mostly all radio control, sailboats, power boats, electric scale boats. I brought a few here to show for display today, and you've probably seen some of these at the Antique Boat Show in the past. This is my most recent build. It's the tugboat Mr. Darby. It's currently called the Atlantic Salver today. New owners took over the boat, and my son and I were fortunate enough a few years ago to get to go on the real boat to take some pictures, which helps in the build process. Basically, this model is a fiberglass hull, and the superstructure is all wood. All the railings have to be soldered and built by the builder, myself. I'll show you real quick kind of what it looks like inside. Basically, the cabin lifts off, and you can kind of see inside. There's not a lot at the moment, but there's a few different, two 12-volt motors. It has forward, neutral, and reverse. All of my electronics are in the back of the boat. Just lift up this here and you can see. So there's electronic speed controls, servos which control the two rudders, and you can see the two rudders and the two large propellers. And this boat has a lot of power. It can actually pull a rowboat with a couple of people in it. That's how much strength these motors and hull have. Over here I'm going to show you my favorite. Well, they're actually all my favorites, but my Donzi Z65 sport fishing boat. It's a model of a 65-foot Donzi sport fishing boat you'd see out, Florida mostly, Long Island, that kind of area. And this one, for example, has two 12-volt motors in it, and a servo which controls the rudders. This boat was a fiberglass hull, wood superstructure, and then I added some details like the fighting chair, which were not part of the kit. And all of my models, for the most part, are kits. I do modify them slightly, like this radar system is all custom made by me. And it's kind of endless what you can do with the hobby. You can look at the real boats and find things that you like about them and then add them to your model. This is a model here of a USS Crockett. It's a Vietnam-era gunboat, and that was an entire box of wood, no fiberglass on that one. So basically I had to plank the entire hull, fiberglass resin and cloth on the exterior, and then sand it smooth, and then just sprayed it with a can of Krylon gray and red spray paint. The next model I wanted to show you is a model of a Palmer Johnson 126-foot super yacht that I've been working on for quite a few years, but this kind of shows you kind of what a model looks like as it's being built. It's got a fiberglass hull, all wood superstructure. This has already been resined and just needs a final sanding and hopefully get painted this year, and maybe we'll have it at Skaneateles next summer, so you can look for that. If you want to go fast, this is the way to go. This particular boat I did not build. It was built by a gentleman in South Florida, and it's got a 30cc home light motor in it. Runs on gas oil mixture just like your weed whacker at home. And if you don't like weed whacking your lawn, you can take the motor out and put it in a boat. That's what I tell people. It's basically the same thing you'd use on a weed whacker. And then the last two models I was going to show you today are models by another one of our club members, Bill Emmond. And he passed away a few years ago, and I was fortunate enough to get the boats from his wife and him. And my son now is a proud owner of the Sentinel. It's a, I apologize for the airplane flying over. It's a model of a English Coast Guard boat, and then there's the famous Orca, which is the Jaws movie boat, which was scratch built out of balsa wood and plywood. And something like that you can build for, maybe a few $100s and a few weeks of building time. So again, some of the models take anywhere from a few months to probably 6-7 years, depending on how much free time you have. My tugboat, my Mr. Darby, took close to 8 summers, but primarily build during the summertime. But again, if you have the ability to build longer than that and into the winter, if you have a heated workshop, you can build all year long. But I prefer working outside in the fresh air and the sunlight for seeing better. And again, my models take me several years to build generally. So if you have any questions, the show is going to post a link with my email address and contact information. Our club does not have a website, but you can reach me through my email. Thank you, and have a great day.
My name is Tom Beardsley, and you usually will hear my disembodied voice throughout the park and along the pier each summer at the Skaneateles Antique and Classic Boat Show. My participation with the boat show is a tradition of family, as it is with so many others. It's not unlike the pancake breakfast at Allen Arena or Skaneateles Labor Day festivities. For some time, with summer weekends being particularly busy, the weekend of the boat show was one I always tried to have off. I really got involved in the second year, 1995, when I drafted my son Chris to help put the multi-part floating breakwall together. The breakwall, or iterations of it, became our mission for the next few years. It was a complicated thing. Holes needed to be patched in a very long plastic tube from the inside. Chris was the perfect size at that age. We set up a fan for ventilation and pushed him inside with a roll of tape to seal the holes. Peter Wiles and I worked on other things, checking occasionally to make sure there wasn't a risk of child endangerment. Eventually, the club gave up on the breakwall, but there were other things to do, and I volunteered to do whatever was needed. Eventually, I started making some of the announcements over the weekend, and for some reason was invited back. I've also become the MC during the awards banquet on a typical Saturday night. And these days I actually come in from California each year to be a part of things. I'm not sure about the title voice of the boat show, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I do enjoy greeting visitors, exhibitors, and volunteers to this annual event. Now, it's not only the boat show, but I edit the chapter's newsletter, Bright Work, published quarterly. And my son, Chris, well, he's a boat and yacht broker in Virginia Beach with a family of his own, developing their own traditions of summer. I treasure this event in so many ways. It's the friendship, the peaceful atmosphere, the kids painting boats at the tent. There's the barbecue, band concert, judging, music, the awards banquet, and of course, the boats. This truly is a wonderful family tradition of summer. I'm very proud and honored to be part of a really good family and a part of the Skaneateles Antique and Classic Boat Show, co-produced by the Skaneateles Foundation and the Finger Lakes chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society. Royal Amber was the name of a Kentucky beer, the flagship brand of Weideman Brewery. It also became the name of the CEO's boat in the Thousand Islands. Shortly after World War II, H. Tracy Balcom asked the lead naval architect to come up with plans for a boat he could use for fishing and recreation around the islands. The architect, Glenn Furness, came up with a design of rare but beautiful combinations. It's 25.5 feet long, over 7.5 feet wide, and this particular boat has a double plank bottom and lap strake sides blending into a full barrel stern, an extremely rare combination. An unusual canvas convertible top was designed to fold into a concealed compartment just behind the windshield, and the power provided by a 6-cylinder, 125 horsepower Gray originally. The boat was built by Grew Boats in Ontario and used in the islands while Balcom vacationed from Kentucky. And for 25 years, the boat was maintained by Hutchinson Boat Works in Alexandria Bay. It sat quiet for a few years, but in 1974 it was rediscovered by a Rochester resident who hoped to restore it. He never got to the project. and it was put in storage at Sill's Marina in Sodus for several years. In 1981, the boat was given to FLC member Stu Sill, the owner of the marina, to settle the storage bill. In 1998, Stu retired. He sold the marina and moved the boat into his own shop to start restoration. He took 6 years on the project from the bottom up. The keel, 10 web frames, and 35 intermediate frames were replaced. A new bottom was installed, while the half-inch mahogany topsides were found in excellent condition. Decks were restored and reinstalled, most of the hardware replated. The engine was replaced, though, with a 300-horsepower Crusader, found on eBay at a bargain price. Stu had what he called a sweet-running boat, and one he considered the ultimate for picnicking and cruising on Sodus Bay. Toward the end of the restoration in 2006, Ed LaRoe, a Finger Lakes chapter member, stopped to see his friend Stu Sills, and before long Ed suggested buying the boat, and he made an offer that Stu could not refuse. Ed owns it today, and with a lifelong history of owning and working with boats, navigating, sailing, and racing around the country while on various assignments with Xerox, he considers Royal Amber the best restored boat he's seen. You can see the boat often on the water in Sodus Bay and also at the Finger Lakes Show in Skaneateles.
Hello, I'm Rick Nelson, and I'm going to relate the story of the 1946 Garwood ensign called Jazz, owned by Wes and Gail Van Dyne. I will tell the story in the first person as submitted by Wes. The 1946 ensign is a 16-foot utility built as an entry-level economy boat powered by a 93-horsepower Chrysler Ace. Most of the production boats' hull topsides were painted white with varnished transom and decks. Very few were totally bright because of the absence of quality mahogany following World War II. A few were also produced with Chrysler Crown engines. Jazz is the basic version. I have known Jazz for more than 20 years. Her resurrection was done by ACBS members and friends John Talash and the late Jack Barron. 95% of her original wood remains. To me, Jazz has been the gold standard for the model. In the spring of 2018, Don Spring, a mutual friend, was having a moving sale, and others contributed consigned items to the sale. Upon viewing the list of sale items, I noticed that there was an ensign listed. Remembering my gold standard, I asked how it compared to Jazz. When the answer came back, "It is Jazz," I immediately said, "I'll buy it." Gail and I have taken Jazz to several shows throughout New England and New York State, and Jazz has received first place or best Garwood awards at all of them. Not bad for 20-plus years since a major overhaul. I have done mundane tasks such as painting the bottom, replacing the flooring, repairing the fuel pump, and some wiring, as well as restoring the trailer. She has been used for 2 years as our pleasure boat, as well as a show boat. Her most recent award was Best Garwood at the 2019 Finger Lakes Show. The accompanying pictures show her ready to go, beached off at Sebago Lake in Maine on the 2018 Wine Country Fall Trip, and pleasure riding underway on Keuka Lake. Thank you.
In the years just prior to World War II, Chris Craft produced some of the most beautiful and most collectible boats in history, the barrelbacks. There was never a Chris Craft model called a barrelback, and technically speaking, the term barrelback defines an aesthetic. The term barrelback has little to do with the running surface of a hull. It is really a slang term used to describe a style of runabout. Barrelbacks were characterized by a smoothly arched stern. By 1940, a totally new deck and hull style was readily visible. All 1941 Chris Craft runabouts were far more stylish than in years past. Covering boards were more curved, and the turtle decks and shark bows made the 1941 Chris Crafts very sleek. By 1942, Chris Craft was quickly transitioning production to the war effort. Just after 1942, product line was solidified and introduced in the last quarter of 1941. America entered World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Pleasure crafts were out and landing crafts were in until 1945, when production was turned back to manufacturing models for the 1946 fleet. This 17-foot deluxe runabout, hull number 71778, is one of the 425 produced between 1940 and 1942. This boat was delivered to Grand Island, New York, just northwest of Buffalo, in the summer of 1941. Sometime in the mid-1950s, she sank on the Niagara River. After she was recovered, she sat in a storage building for almost 40 years at Keuka Lake, New York. She was rediscovered around 1995 and a complete restoration began, were completed around 2001. Following its restoration, the boat was again stored and not used much until I discovered it back in 2009. The boat had not been named. A few months after I had purchased the boat, my wife Susan had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. We were devastated. The family rallied around Susan, and our fighting message every day was, "You gotta believe." Susan is now cancer-free, and the name Believer was given to this beautiful boat to honor her struggle and battle with cancer.
Yeah, I guess you'd say that my love of antique boats began when I was a young boy, maybe 10, 11 years old. Our family used to always go up to Old Forge or to Forest Lake. We'd rent a cabin up there, stay for a couple of weeks, and we shared that with another family from Syracuse, and their boy Mickey and I were, very close in age, maybe 8 months difference. And we both loved listening to the boats as they came down the lake, the old wooden boats. And it got to the point where we could name the boat before you could see it, just by the sound of the engine. And these were beautiful old wooden boats. As time went on, I always said, someday I'm going to own one of those. Well, it turns out that I was really not only in love with the old wooden boats, but I love racing. So I got into racing. My first race boat was an offshore race boat. It was a Scarab Panther, twin 500 horse engines. And back then, nobody could beat us. Just back in the very early 70s. But anyways, it was fun for a while. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the boats. I didn't enjoy the people that much, to be honest with you. So I finally got myself a wooden boat, and we joined the Finger Lakes chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society. And as they say, it's all history from there on. Not only did at one point end up owning 5 boats, but 2 of them were race boats. I still loved to race, and at that point in time, when we started racing, just before the turn of the century, my son and I could race together, and we started racing and APBA, the professional race organization. We raced in the antique and historic division. So we are running old wooden boats against other old wooden boats, but everybody, that's where the similarities ended. Everybody had some pretty hot engines in those things. Our race boat would too, had a 470 horse supercharged engine. It was a 1937 design boat, but had a beautiful engine in that, a Moroso race engine. We raced many places, including the farthest we ever went was Detroit. We raced in the Detroit River during the Gold Cups. And then we also acquired a outboard race boat, a Switzer Shooting Star, little 12, 13-footer, and we had a 100-horse Merc outboard on that thing. When the Switzers were racing that boat hit 74 miles an hour with an 80-horse Merc engine on it. And so we raced together, my son and I. We raced together for about 20-some-odd years. I'm getting too old. I can feel that I've lost the response, the quick response needed for racing. But the most beautiful part of it was when we switched to racing the antique boats and joining the Finger Lakes chapter of ACBS. That's when we found a lot of people with similar interests in old boats, and we loved it. We just kind of specialized in race boats. But there was the old Chris Crafts, the Hacker Crafts, the Garwoods, the Centuries, and we still enjoy not only the boats, but the people.
Dave Sturdivant and Joan Clancy are the proud owners of a 1956 Yellow Jacket Riviera boat with a 1958 Johnson Super Seahorse 35 HP motor. Yellow Jacket boats were built in Denison, Texas, and that's the area that they purchased it and had their boat shipped here. The boats are made famous by Roy Rogers. Dave's mom had a 1957 Riviera back in the day in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and he learned to water ski behind it. We have photos of his mom and grandmother being pulled behind that boat with the surfboard shown on the land display. We've done land display complete with mannequin a few times at the Skaneateles Antique Boat Show, where it took first place in 2 different categories at the show in 2015. This boat is used every summer and is kept on our hoist under a canopy on the south shore of Oneida Lake in Brewerton, New York. Hi, my name is Hillary Fenner, and I am the Executive Director at the Skaneateles Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation. I'm also a native of Skaneateles and someone who has been attending the Skaneateles Boat Show since it came to Skaneateles 26 years ago. Over the boat show weekend, I would help out at the launch with my grandfather, Bill Miller. I would take care of odd jobs throughout the weekend, including jumping in the water for any number of dropped items. And on Saturday afternoon, I would work with my Aunt Janice to get boats out of the slip for the boat parade. My family got to participate in the parade for several years on our boat, Esperance. It's always been a weekend where I look forward to seeing my extended family and friends from all over the country. In 2018, I was finishing my master's degree when I came across a job opening for the executive director at the Skaneateles Area Chamber of Commerce and its foundation. Everything I read in the job description seemed to fit perfectly, and in August 2018, I began as executive director. It was such a joy to return to the boat show last year in my new position. I couldn't do it without the wonderful boat show committee, the volunteers at the boat show, and the sponsors of our show. Thank you to M&T for being our presenting sponsor. They make it a reality for us. Even though this year is different, I'm glad we're able to share pictures and memories safely, and I anticipate we'll have a great show in 2021. We look forward to seeing you all there.